and I'm saying this live. If you want to learn the truth about Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, come at me and I will give you private lessons. The things that I have to teach cannot be put on YouTube because you could get in trouble. People don't understand this religion thing. It's a much more serious, it's big business. And it's like any other business. When you're a whistleblower, you put your life in danger. So it's not just about, oh yeah, it's a great YouTube video, I got some brand new information. It's about, okay, I have the truth now, and it can help me make conscious decisions intergenerationally, which means that I don't have to deal with this sickness, my children don't have to deal with this sickness, nor do they. So generationally, we begin to improve from the slave plantation. But as long as you're dealing with any one of those three religions, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, you're still on you're on somebody's slave plantation. Right. Somebody's slave plantation, as long as you're dealing with any of those three religions, period. But Ali Muhammad was talking about how certain things in the Quran made clear our manhood. So you telling me we had to wait for the Quran to come into existence before we knew we were men? And we had civilization for tens of thousands of years prior to that? Are you out of your mind? That you would actually stand in front of black people and tell them something like that? And you know, I'm really pissed off that I'm not the one up on that stage right now.
Listen, Shaka,
I ain't gonna even lie, that's the truth.
I knew how powerful and strong you was and knowledgeable you was, but you just deliver it without saying a word. So what you did was magnificent. That's why I said when I seen it, I had to come to you and say, brother, good job you did up there. You know, I have to give it to you when I have to give it to you. And most of us in here that does the research and follow, really, we recognized it. You know
I really appreciate you. Know, I can't believe how many people said that to me.
I thank you for letting me, I said again, for allowing me to follow it and understand it by watching and learning from you.
Wow.
So when you get those lessons, I want to be there to be a part of
I can tell you this much, my birthday just passed, but that was the greatest birthday gift I've had all year. All year long. Just that gratitude and that people were paying attention and watching and actually listening. To me, that means more money than all the money Oprah Winfrey got. That's everything. Because they know you're listening. Because see, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you a secret. Most people, and this is something, a secret I walk around with every day, and this is something that black people don't know. And so if you take anything away from me, take this away.
Okay.
Most people truly believe, including Ali Muhammad, most people truly believe that black people are too stupid to ever really discover the truth. They actually believe this. They believe that our brains are hardwired in such a way that we cannot see what has been covered up with a veil of deceit. Because if you really knew the truth about Islam, because even Polight's giving you one-on-one.
Yeah, you give me right.
Polight's giving you one-on-one. Because I haven't given the rest. But I just told Polight a little while ago, I said, after what I saw there, you come into the house because I'm going to give you the rest. What I didn't give, there was one interview I gave where Sonetta turned off the camera. Sonetta's the only person,
I remember that,
he turned off the camera because I showed him something, he didn't want nobody else to see it. And there's a reason why, because that kind of stuff will get you iced. It's truth like that. When you really see where Islam really comes from, your jaw's going to drop. Right. But I can tell you, Jewish people, Jews wrote the Quran, all that shit. All of it.
What would their purpose be for writing the Quran?
Say it again?
What would their purpose be for doing it?
Their purpose for doing it was just really, all right, let me explain this to you. In order for you, brother, is there something you wanted to say? Oh, okay, yeah, sure. No problem.
Shaka, you know you got fans, Shaka.
No problem. If this is something that you have to understand. If you want to understand Islam, and this is what Ali Muhammad is not going to tell you. He'll touch on it briefly, but he's always going to take it back to the Levant. He's going to always take it back to the Punic civilizations. I have no problem with that because there's certain things that he and I agree upon. What we disagree upon is his interpretation of the facts, not only his interpretation of it, but also, and I will say this on camera, Ali Muhammad, his obfuscation of the facts. In other words, he's contributing to that veil. So what he's going to do is, being that he knows there's already a veil over it, he's going to come in and say, well, because you got to remember, Ali Muhammad is not a street scholar. He has a Temple University degree.
Right.
This is somebody who had to go through the standard academic institution, which means that he said something on camera sitting next to me once, and I didn't pay attention to him until I watched the interview later. Ali Muhammad said, and I want you to pay attention to what he said. He said, if you want to know about Islam, come to me because I'm the most important Muslim in the world. That's what he said.
I remember that.
I want to tell you what he should have said. You're not the most important Muslim in the world. He's the most dangerous Muslim in the world, and I'm going to tell you why, particularly to the black community. This is from my own perspective. And I'll tell you why. Because he has the requisite education to mislead you in a way that no one can.
Right.
That's what makes him special. From my perspective, you know how to take the truth and twist it in such a way that the average person can't, because they don't have the standard academic education. They don't know about the Septuagint. They don't know about the Didache. Why aren't you up there talking about, if you say that the Quran predates the Hebrew text, then why don't you talk about the Didache? Teach the people about the Didache. You know about the Didache and what it is. Take them to the Elephantine Papyri and tell them about that, so that they can see not only is there papyri, is there Quranic papyri, but there's also Christian papyri. So just because there's Christian papyri, that makes it real, that means it, no, it all came out, you know what? He's going to tell you Abd al-Malik was the real Muhammad. That's fine, but why don't you also tell them about al-Mamun, who succeeded Abd al-Malik, who went to Egypt and took over Alexandria, took over the Alexandrian library. That's why all that stuff. You talk about, oh, it comes from Egypt and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it comes from Egypt for the same reason the Bible comes from Egypt, because it was all plagiarized. It's all plagiarism. So why don't you go with what Dr. Ben said? All Dr. Ben is saying is this, and I gotta quote Dr. Ben. All Dr. Ben is saying is, why would you eat a meal? Do you know how birds feed their children? Birds feed their children by they eat the food, then they digest it, and then they throw it up and feed their children. But that's what Islam, Judaism, and Christianity is. It's something somebody else died. It's not the original meal.
Right.
So all Dr. Ben is saying, why are you eating something somebody's regurgitating? Why don't you just go to the original? If you're saying that, oh, well, the Quran comes out of Kemet, because that's what he's saying. He's going to tell you that. He's going to say that. He said they came from Egypt. The Saracens were originally from the Sudanic part of Egypt, and so on. Oh, great. If that's the case, then why don't we just go to Kemet? If you're telling me it came from there, then what do I need the stepchild for? What do I need the offspring for? Give me the original. You telling me I'm the original man, then give me my original culture.
You think he's making up his own brand of Islam?
Oh, there's no question about him and Wesley Muhammad to make up their own brand of Islam. But what Polight, I didn't stay for the whole thing for Polight, because once he threw up the Syriac, I already knew where it was going. And I was like, you know, hopefully, what I am interested in is, I'm interested in Ali Muhammad's rebuttal. That's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in his rebuttal, and I wasn't going to stick around for it, but I think I am going to stick around for it, because I want to hear what he's going to say. And the reason I want to hear what he's going to say, because eventually I know it, he knows it, and everybody knows it, he's going to have to face me. And so when you face me, you know, I wish you all the luck in the world.
A lot of us said I wish you all the luck in the world. Him and Wesley should have both faced you a long time ago.
I would love to have him and Wesley at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want him and Wesley at the same time. Why would I piecemeal it out? Because once I put it out there, and once I show you where it actually all came from, there's going to be nothing you can say.
That's what most of us wanted. We just wanted to go away and end it.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the only reason, but you gotta understand something. Hold on, understand something though. Understand something. And this is really important. The only reason why I have not done it, and this is what I said to you when you first started filming, what the people don't understand is this. Y'all want the knowledge.
Right.
You want the answers. But hold on, no. You want the knowledge with the answers, but you're not willing to protect the people who are going to give them to you.
Right.
You didn't protect Malcolm. You didn't protect Martin.
Yes, sir.
You didn't protect Khalid. Okay?
No.
So when you prove that you're willing to protect the people who are going to give, because you gotta understand something. If right now, if I was to go on camera and really show you the true origin of Islam, I don't have to worry about the black Muslims. It's the Arab Muslims I'm gonna have to worry about. Every time I go in the Optimo store on the corner, I won't even be able to order a sandwich from them, because they're gonna put something in my shit. Right. They don't play. It's like, oh, you talking bad against Islam? You gotta go. It's no discussion. You're dealing with savages, real savages. You're dealing with real, true fucking savages.
I think the best advice.
If you read the paper and you see what they're doing in Iraq right now, to their own people, if you see what they're doing in Iraq, if you see what they're doing in Baghdad, if you see what they're doing, they're lining them up on their knees, boom, 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 and it's on the front of the pages. Why? Simply because, oh, they're doing that simply because you're Christian. Not even because you're speaking bad against it, it's because you're Christian. So these are the kind of people, you gotta remember, it's a sickness. Religion is a sickness. It is sick. It is a sickness, all of them. All of them. And let me give it to you like this so you can really walk away with it. And I want you to appreciate this. So you can understand the difference between religion and spirituality. Understand this. The word religion has two origins, and you have to know those origins. One is Old Latin, and the other one is Old French. One is religare, and the other one is religare. And they both mean the same thing. To bind or to be bound.
Right.
You heard what I said?
Right.
To bind or to be bound. But what they leave out of the definition is they don't tell you what it is that you're bound to. So I'm going to tell you what it is that you're bound to. What does Islam, Judaism, and Christianity all have in common? They all have one thing in common. One thing. No, they all have a book. You are bound to that book.
Gotcha.
Now, what's the difference? In ancient Egypt, you were bound to no book. You can't name one book in ancient Egypt that any particular person was bound to. That's the difference. You understand what I'm telling you?
I got you.
That is the key difference. One is dealing with mind control, the other one is dealing actually with your spirit. With the air that you're breathing, what we call shu. Or with the water that comes out of the sky, what we call tefnut. Or the earth that we're standing on right now that we call geb in ancient Kemet. You understand what I'm saying? Right? In those books, in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, that's religion, that's religare. You are bound. You are bound to that text. So if you're bound to that text, you are also bound to the arbiters of that text. Whoever wrote it. Whoever wrote it. Whoever wrote this Quran, you bound to him. Whoever gave you this, and I can tell you who wrote it. It was all a bunch of Jews.
Yeah.
All right, it was all a bunch of Jews. Straight up in there. It was Jewish. It was Iraqi Jews.
Iraqi Jews.
They were Iraqi Jews. I ain't gonna say no more about that. But that's who they were. They were Iraqi Jews.
Man, I mean, black people are bound to a lot of stuff, brother.
Oh, that's true talk.
That's a small, minute. Religion is a small, minute problem for us.
Well, let me say this. Hold on. Well, I would disagree with that, and the reason why I disagree with that is this. My own unique story is really simple. I grew up and I had a mother that went to church.
Right.
Hold on, I had a mother that went to church. She discarded it later on when she started going to Egypt with Dr. Ben when we were all little, right? But then I had a father that didn't go to church. And I would ask my mother, I used to say, Mommy, how come Daddy doesn't go to church? And she would say, well, because he doesn't believe. And for me, as a kid, I said, okay, I got no problem with that. But the problem I had with my father was, you can't say, I'm not gonna go to church because I don't believe that, and then just go do whatever else. No, if you don't believe, then you got the responsibility to go find out what is true. Right. Say, okay, I don't believe this is true. Okay, not a problem. You don't believe it, then tell me what is true. See, saying I don't believe that is not enough. Or I don't believe that. Okay, but then tell me, what do you believe? Can you stand on it? Can you prove it? Show me the documentation. Show me what's called the provenance. Can you show me the provenance of it? At least take the time to do that. So then I know you're a man of your word. You believe what you say what you mean, and you mean what you say, and you stand on what you believe. But if you don't believe nothing, or you believe the Bible, or your religion is money, or your religion is chasing girls, or your religion is whatever, like he said, religion is just one thing that religion, or these religions that they've given us, is just one aspect of it, because anything could be your religion. Money,
right.
Chasing girls, hanging out in the club, or selling whatever it is, or sneakers. Right. Some people, the brand new Jordans, that's their religion. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So that's their bound. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change the fact that religion still means bound. Don't ever forget that. If you want to be free, you can't say that you're free if you're bound to something. How you gonna be free? I mean, if you want to know what my main contention is with Islam, and this is my main contention with Islam, and this is straight up and down. It's not. I don't even have to go into the origins. Well, a little bit I do, but my main beef with Islam is this, and it's really not a beef against Islam. It's something I want to communicate to black people, and that's that. When we came off the plantation, there was a contingency of us who said, okay, whatever we were given on that plantation, we are now going to reject it. We know, in other words, give the master back his shit. Take your name back, take your religion back, take your this back, which I think is great, and I applaud. The problem is that when you left Christianity and went to Islam, you didn't come all the way off the plantation. And the reason for that is that all Islam is, and this is straight up and down. The only thing Islam is that it's the original version of Christianity. That's all it is. It's just that it's unrecognizable to people in the West, because the people in the West practice a Christianity that was developed by Rome. This whole thing about the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, that's Roman.
So when
that comes out of the ecumenical councils.
The original version
Islam is the original version of Christianity. What it is it's 3rd, 4th, and 5th century Christianity. In other words, let me say this to you. If you went to an early Christian from the 4th century and you said to that Christian, Jesus Christ is God, they would look at you like you were insane. They would have you put away because that was nowhere in their writings. It was nowhere in their books. You can't find it anywhere. If you read the oldest manuscripts, read the Didache, look at the Elephantine papyri. Nowhere in those writings do you see anything about Jesus being God. That doesn't come about until after the Council of Ephesus, the Council of Chalcedon, and the Council of Constantine, particularly Ephesus and Chalcedon. Okay, not particularly in that order, but the Council of Ephesus and the Council of Chalcedon. Once they said that, that's why you have Chalcedonian churches, non-Chalcedonian churches, Christian Orthodox, non-Orthodox. This is how they became Orthodox. They became Orthodox because they rejected certain ecumenical proclamations. They said, no, we don't agree with that. They were making this shit up as they were going. You understand what I'm saying? They were making this shit up as they were going. And so what you have to understand is that when you look at all of the early Christian writings, all of them are very, very similar to what's in the Quran, because that's where the Quran came from. In other words, the Quran came from all of that Christian literature that Rome said, now we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. That's what the people of the region took and created Islam. So what you're talking about is you're talking about the earlier religious, you're talking about the earlier Christian writings. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's not, and so what I tell black people is that, look, if you want to leave Christianity alone, that means you also have to leave Islam alone, because it's an earlier version of Christianity. That's what I'm saying. Now, if you can prove to me that it's not an earlier version of Christianity, I'll run with you. I ain't got to do. I got about, I don't think that's gonna happen. I got maybe about a half a G in my wallet. I'll give you the whole thing. Prove to me it's not early Christianity. Prove it to me. I wish you the best of luck. Because when I show you where all of the language in the Quran, well, he already did, but when I show you where all of the language in the Quran came from, the word jihad, the word imam, the word Quran. The word, you know what the word Quran actually means? It comes from the Syriac. It means Pentateuchal reader. It means Pentateuchal reader. That could only mean something to you if you know what the Pentateuch is.
You know I had that class already with you, right?
I didn't know that.
You was on YouTube teaching it.
Yeah, but you have to know what the Pentateuch is. Oh no, better yet.
What's your name again, brother?
AHMOSE.
AHMOSE.
Hotep, family. You heard? Ain't nothing but love. You have to know what the Pentateuch is. The Pentateuch is nothing, well, hold on. You have to know what they tell you
what it is.
The Pentateuch is, because that's where they get you. If you didn't learn anything that I said in any of those lectures, the most important thing you should have learned was when I had that bill with Ali Muhammad on Sinai TV, when we were discussing the Septuagint and the Pentateuch, because that's how they get everybody. They lie to you about what the Pentateuch is. They tell you that the Pentateuch is nothing but a Greek word to describe the Hebrew text, which is to describe the first 5 books of Moses.
Right.
That's what they tell you. But that's a lie, because they never tell you about the real Pentateuch. The real Pentateuch comes out of Alexandria, Egypt, and it was written by a man named Dorotheus of Sidon, a Greek, a person from Lebanon. He was a guy who came to Egypt, and he took all of the astrological writings of that time, particularly from Egypt and from Mesopotamia, and he just put it all together. And that's what the early Christian theologians were working with. It was all horoscopy, whatever you call it. That's what, you know, Gemini, the moon, Libra, Virgo, and all that. That's what they were working with, horoscopes. All of the documentation is there, but Ali Muhammad's not going to show you that. He's going to say, no. It's like the Wizard of Oz. When Dorothy looked behind the curtain, and the Wizard of Oz said, don't look behind here. That's Ali Muhammad. That's his new name, the Wizard of Oz, the Wizard.
Have you seen that? Huh? Have you seen that on YouTube? They have a version of him being the Wizard of Oz.
No, I've never seen that, but that's who he is. I mean, yeah. Yes, sir.
Let's go a little bit deep.
Sure. How deep you want to go? Just don't get me in no trouble, because like I said, there's certain things. Hold on. Okay, cool. No problem. First, you gotta put them shirts on camera, because my man got some beautiful shirts.
Yes, sir.
Show these shirts.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Show these shirts, my man. Hey, bro, turn around. Let me see that shirt you wearing, because I love it. He gonna make me one next week. Let him see that. See that? That's my brother right here. Tell him your name.
Aya.
Aya. That's brother Aya. One of the most beautiful brothers I've ever known through my life. And he gonna make me one of those. I want that watch.
Just gonna be on the intro.
Just like that. All right, that's what's up. What you want to know about?
Let's go to back in ancient Kemet, how show our people how the mixed breeds help the white man to tell the lies that ancient Kemet.
Well, look.
Hold on.
Okay.
Ancient Cometian civilization was white civilization, and the race wars that took place that have created the confusion that we see today.
Okay, hold on. What that means, hold on. Here's something, this is really important. What black people have to start doing is we got to start to tell the truth about ourselves, and it's not going to always make us feel good. Okay? And so everything about ancient Egypt was not, you know, just beautiful and this, that, and the other. We made a lot of mistakes. And the #1 mistake that we made, hold on, I got to say this. I'm going to say it. When you walk around New York and you see black men with white women, and you see all these black athletes with white women, it reminds me of this. Have you ever heard the saying, you're gonna mess around and repeat history, or history always repeats itself? You got the saying wrong. The correct way to say it is, those who are ignorant of history will repeat its mistakes. But the other side of that is, those who know history can repeat the successes, and this is what the white man knows. That's why he studies history. If you go to what do you call it? What's the name of the military institute? The Navy West Point. When you go to West Point, you have to study military history. You have to. Some of the highest paid people in the world are military historians, because that's how they determine how they're going to do certain things. When they go in here, when they go in there and do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So you have to know history, and this is what I mean. When you see these black men, you notice I didn't say the black woman with white men. And the reason I'm saying that is because that was not our original problem. Our original problem was when the Hyksos came in and they invaded. You're talking about the 2nd millennium BCE. When they came in, 1730 BCE, when the Hyksos came in. And by the way, there was no group of people called the Hyksos. The Hyksos is just a generic term that the ancient Egyptians used to ascribe to foreign rulers. That means it could apply to Libyans, it could apply to Nubians, it could apply to anybody who they considered a foreign ruler. So people need to stop this nonsense about, oh, the Hyksos. No, you're not the Hyksos, because you got a group of people out here now who are claiming that they were the Hyksos. No. That was a generic term that they could apply to anybody that was a foreign ruler. But when the Hyksos, the people who are the Amorites, whatever you want to call them, when they came in, when they got kicked out by AHMOSE, from the man who I get my name from, when they got kicked out by AHMOSE and his brother Kamos, when they got kicked out, they did what most men do. They said, okay, the woman can stay. Some of the women can stay. They took some of the women as wives. These were Caucasian, pale, white women. They took some of them as wives. This is in the New Kingdom, the 18th dynasty. For the first time in the history of Kemet, after thousands upon thousands of years of civilization, where there was no white folks in there, in the New Kingdom, after the Hyksos invaded, you get them taking wives. You can see it on the walls in the mural. Just look at the papyrus of Annie, him and his white wife. Although there is no proof that those things were not done later on, because you have to know how media works. Today, when you want to change media today, you go on a computer, when you're making a movie or a film or a television thing, you can change whatever you want to change. Back in the ancient world, the way you changed people's perception was you walked up to the wall and you scraped off shit. You scraped off shit, you broke a nose, you did whatever you did, but that was the media. So a lot of those images that you see from ancient Kemet, where they look light-skinned, they were not originally light. So a lot of those people that they're portraying as white, like even the white wives, it was the people who came in later, the Greeks who came in later, they changed a lot of that. But the truth of the matter is that we did take white wives. And because we took white wives, we began to make mixed breeds. And those mixed breeds, if you read Chancellor Williams, The Destruction of Black Civilization, page 295, he's the one who talks about it best. He had the mulatto problem. The mulatto problem. If you talk, as a matter of fact, Dr. John Henry Clark, my younger sister was his secretary, and his wife, very dear, he's a family member. He used to always say, God rest his soul, and that's that, Dr. John Henry Clark. He used to always say that he was working on a book called the role of the bastard in history, talking about how these mixed breeds would be created amongst us and how they would be used against us. You follow what I'm saying? And it has not changed. As a matter of fact, you remember Bobby McFerrin, the guy who made the song "Don't Worry, Be Happy"? Don't worry, be happy. He married a white woman and they have a mixed breed son. His mixed breed son is a big time comedian now. He was on stage in front of a white audience joking about being a half breed. And in his joke, in his routine, he spoke about how he acts when he's with his white friends and his white family members, and how he acts when he's with his black friends and his black family members. And everybody was laughing. And I'm like, are y'all listening to what he's saying? This is the mulatto reality. They act one way when they're around black people, and when they're with those other people, they act a different way, but they can do it in a way that you and I can't. It's a different, it's a whole different thing. So you have some black people who know how to play that white game, and when they're around white people, they act one way when they're around white people, they act another way when they're around black people. You got white folks that do that. They act one way when they're around, that's human nature. They act one way when they're around black people, they act one way when they're around white people. But the mulatto thing, so you gotta understand something about mulattoes. And I tell this to people all the time, my personal opinion, the ones you really have to watch out for, yeah, I'm saying it on camera.
Come on, buddy.
I'm saying it on camera. The ones you have to watch out for are the mulattoes. Racially, you're a double agent. You can come amongst me and say anything. Yeah, brother, I'm with you. Yeah, da 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 da. But then you also, in your mind, you know you're not gonna deny half of yourself from me. I had a mulatto girlfriend who grew up in this conscious community, came up under Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. John Henry Clark. I ain't gonna name no names, but she said something that blew my mind because I knew her in the movement all of these years. And she said something to me a few months ago that blew me. She had a German father who she never knew and never met. She's a beautiful girl. But she said something that blew me away. We were sitting in my home and she said, well, I can't deny half of myself and who I am. And I'm like, you know what? I'm with you. The people who have to understand that is us. You understand what I'm saying? We have to understand that. We have to understand, look, when you're dealing with a mulatto person, it doesn't mean that they, Bob Marley, mulatto #1, you know what he said? And I got him on camera saying it. He said, I don't dip on the black side, I don't dip on the white side. I dip on the right side. And he had a baby with a white woman named Damian Martin. Straight up and down. He had a baby with a white woman, and there's no crime in that, because he was a revolutionary.
I can cut you off. Why you on him?
Yeah.
Why you on him? I want you to go back to that. If it wasn't for Bob Marley, you probably wouldn't have so many quote-unquote white rosters today.
Oh,
and
forget about it.
because of Bob Marley, now on the Billboard charts, the most recent Billboard charts, the top 4 reggae songs are all
white people, all white artists, all by white artists. What is it? Why you gotta be so rude? Why you gotta be so rude? Real talk. It's just real talk. It is what it is. What they call them? Culture bandits. What's his name? You know who I'm talking about. That brother Dale Jones. Rest his soul. And that's your act, Dale Jones. To the ancestor Dale Jones. Straight up, that's what they are, culture bandits. But we are complicit with them. Dr. Dre, Pharrell. Who you think made Justin Timberlake right now, who is the black artist right now? You know that, right? Justin Timberlake is the black artist. They tried to make a Robin Thicke, but he got called out on that Marvin Gaye joint. He got called out big time for that. But look who helped him do it. Pharrell. And nobody's holding for me. Pharrell talking about, I'm happy. Yeah, you happy. You happy because you helping white people steal black music. Of course you're happy. And you're getting paid to the tunes of millions of dollars to do it. Dr. Dre, no different. The only reason Dr. Dre did what he did with Kendrick Lamar was because he felt guilty about what he did with Eminem. And he probably didn't even feel guilty about that. Because I heard a lyric from Dr. Dre from one of his earlier records that I had never heard before, because I was never a Dr. Dre fan. But I was just listening to it, and the first opening line to the record, he said, yeah, we ain't coming with no black power fists and no bees or Africa. He's like, he was bragging on you, we ain't coming with none of that. So I'm like, dude, everything about your life tells me that, dude. He just gave about $6 million to some white college or some white college not too long ago. And Bill Cosby or somebody, I don't remember who it was, held his feet to it and said, why didn't you give it to a black college or HBCU? Because he don't give a fuck about being black. Pardon me. My thing is this is what I tell everybody. I would say this to any black person, I would hope you will hear me. Man, you see a woman and she happens to be beautiful, or she happens to have her breasts hanging out, or whatever it is, you're gonna look and you're attracted, whatever. So I don't say that I don't date white women because I don't think they're attractive. No, I don't date white women because I got politics. My politics says, no, I can't mess with you. I can't mess with you. Frances Cress Welsing said that. Frances Cress Welsing said, now I disagree with her. Personally, I don't agree with interracial marriage. That's my own personal politics. But Frances Cress Welsing said, as long as white supremacy is on this planet, there can be no interracial marriage. She said, when white supremacy is done and overturned, then it's okay. Me personally, I disagree. I disagree with that, and I disagree with that because history has taught me that when you create half-breed children, they grow up with they're divided within themselves. You understand what I'm saying? And a house divided amongst itself cannot stand. You understand what I'm saying? And they're in denial about so much. I mean, it's really bad. But there's something else about that particular thing. And this is really important. I'm a landlord, so I was talking to one of my tenants, and I wanted to explain to them what one of the drawbacks was to creating mixed children. There was a playwright who said this on WBAI. There's a lecture you should get. It's by a man named Myron Fagan. Just remember the name, M-Y-R-O-N-F-A-G-N. It's an old lecture. This lecture got to be maybe from the early 70s. But I have a collection of lectures that's like mind-blowing. But in this lecture, he talks about a Broadway play that was produced called, what do they call New York? They call it a melting what? Melting pot. They call it a melting pot. Where did that term come from? The term came from a play that was produced in the early 70s called The Melting Pot. Okay? The Melting Pot was written by a Jewish playwright. And the reason that the guy in the lecture was talking about this was he was talking about the agenda underneath. See, we think when we see a television program, it's just a television program. Or when somebody writes a play, it's just a play. We don't see the politics behind any of this stuff. You understand what I'm saying? The politics behind it was to promote something that Jewish people have always been champions of, and that's race mixing. Jewish people have always been champions of race mixing. Why? Because they themselves define themselves as miscegenated. They're a little bit of this, they're a little bit of that, they're a little bit of this. That's what they are. But here's the danger. Well, actually the term Semitic is not even a racial term, it's a linguistic term. It has nothing to do with race, right? So you could be Semitic and be 1,000% black. You feel me? Which I had to remind somebody the other day, was it's like people are beyond stupid. But it's not their fault. There's been a dumbing down process going on for a long time. But this, and I don't want to forget this, I want to say this before I do forget it. The danger in creating mixed people, and this is the agenda behind it. If I'm an African,
Just give me a second.
Come on, AHMOSE, keep it going.
I don't want to forget
send it to Baba. I'm gonna send it to you, Baba. I'm gonna send it to you.
No, go ahead. I'm be patient. I'm be patient. Go ahead. Oh, but I will say this much because it's connected to it. It's connected to it. I would suggest you go in your wallet and buy this book because they're not telling you about this book. Now I know about it because my mother lives in Africa. My mother's been living in Africa for 10 years. We got 2 homes, 2 farms. Our farm goes from 125th Street to 96th Street. We got acres, right? And we put families to work and all that stuff. She supplies the hotels with all their vegetables and all that other stuff, right? Putting all my business on camera, right? So, here's the deal. There's a book out right now. It's called Africa, China's Second Continent. You better get that book because, hey, hold on, I'm gonna show you how deep it gets. Right now, you literally have 2 million Chinese who got tired of competing with other Chinese people in China because they got billions of people and it's overcrowded. They looked over at Africa, they said all the gold is over there, all the diamonds over there, all the cobalt's over there, all the bauxites over there, all of the coltan is over there. Boom. Now they didn't go to North Africa. They went to what they call Sub-Saharan Africa.
Sub-Saharan.
All right, that's what they did. They're in Sub-Saharan Africa right now. They're in Mozambique. They're in Namibia. They're in Nigeria. Zimbabwe. You talking about setting up shop, but it gets even deeper. They're cultivated because there's always going to be this question of land ownership and inalienable rights because of what Mugabe did. So what they're doing is they're marrying their children into the population. That's what they're doing. In fact, the sons are not allowed to date Asian women. They can only date African women so that they can create the Blasian, the mix, the Tiger Woods. Now you got to be careful with that because what did Tiger Woods say? I'm not black. What did Pharrell say? I'm not black. This half-breed thing is no joke. This half-breed thing is no joke. It is real. I see beautiful half-breed women every day. I love them. For some reason, they love me. I can grab a half-breed girl from before I can a black woman will look at me and go, you look kind of crazy. I ain't messing with you. Half-breed girl will be like, what's your name? So, I mean, I can't hate on them. I don't hate on anybody that show me love. Black, white, blue, you show me love, I got love for you. But it doesn't make me stupid. It doesn't mean I can't see what's going on. And what's going on, and I said that to say this. Here is the danger of producing, or not the, think about it in these terms, because I don't want to be sensationalist. Think about it in terms of assets and deficits. Here is the deficit of creating mixed children. And this is nothing bad about, this is not to say nothing bad about mixed people. They're human beings like everybody else. They have hopes, aspirations, dreams, nightmares, this and the other. I'm not talking about their lack of humanity. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about looking at things from our interest as a people. You understand what I'm saying? What happens is this. If me, as an African landowner, let's just say I got acres and acres of land in Uganda, because Uganda's no joke. You talking about land? Idi Amin was the greatest black man. People talk about Marcus Garvey. Nah, Idi Amin. That was the man. Idi Amin said on camera, he said, you black people, he said this back in the 70s, he said, you black people in America need to become the president of the White House and take that shit over. He said that. And he talked about Israel like shit because he, remember Sharon, Perez Sharon, the prime minister of Israel? Idi Amin was his right hand. And Idi Amin used to tell them, if you ever try to fuck with me, I will destroy everything about you before you even wake up in the morning. He said, I will bomb you off the face of the earth. Idi Amin said that. Idi Amin said that, had his own Air Force thing going on. Idi Amin was the one that they had to neutralize. It wasn't anybody else. It wasn't even, I love Nkrumah. In my house growing up, Nkrumah was Jesus. In our house growing up, Kwame Nkrumah was Jesus Christ in our house growing up. Yes, sir. Right? But here's what you got to know. Let's just say I got all of this land. Hold on, I'm gonna drop it for you. I'm gonna drop it for you. Here's what you got to know. Let's just say you. I'm gonna use you, all right? And I'm gonna use you, okay? Let's just say you are a black man and you're a black woman and you own all of this land in Uganda, right? What happens if, say, okay, I'm gonna move you out of the picture, young lady. What happens if you get yourself,
I got you.
No, I don't want you to be over there. Let's just say us as African Americans. Because do you know what they said about us in Brezhnev's report? The Brzezinski report. You remember the Brzezinski report, the 2000 thing when they said we had to stop African Americans from having any connection to Africans in Africa? That was a part of the whole COINTELPRO thing. That's their documentation. That came out of the White House. They said we have to make sure that African Americans have no relationships with Africans. That was a big agenda. And so it was important for them to help mold our concept of ourselves. In fact, that's why they bankrolled all those television shows like Good Times, Sanford and Son. All of that was so that we wouldn't look at ourselves as Africans, but as something distinct other than. Okay? Now here's the problem. Right now, if I'm me as a black man, right? If I watch Roots, like I saw it when it first came out in 1977, then I saw it again. So you woke up the next day thinking, oh, yo, I'm African. That's where I came from. Compared to that, yeah. You remember that? You remember the day after Roots came out, it was weird the next day. No matter where you went, everything was weird. For white people and for black people, everybody in between, everybody was looking at each other like, because you had a different frame of mind. Now check this out. That made from that point on, and hold on, I just got the perfect one. Cause see, the only reason I'm procrastinating is that when I give it to you, it's gotta hit home. I can't mess around and give it to you before it's right where it needs to be. Now check this out. I lost it as soon as I got it. So then that's okay, I'm just gonna give it to you. Oh, I got it. What made the first free country in Africa in modern times? What was the first free country? No, what was the first free?
Nigeria.
No.
Liberia.
No. The first country to come out from under colonialism. Who?
Ethiopia.
People, come on. Martin Luther King went to the inauguration of this country. No. Ghana. Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah, that was the first one. They were the first one to come out from under the yoke of colonialism. That was the first one to step into the sunshine and say, yo, we black, we on our own, and we got this. That was Ghana, and that was Kwame Nkrumah. Right? Right? Now, hold on. Who influenced Kwame Nkrumah? Who influenced Kwame Nkrumah? Come on, read in Black History 101 now. Who influenced Kwame Nkrumah to go back to Africa and make Ghana a free country? Who was it? Hey, yo, I'm about to take my belt off and start doing like Jesus did.
Come on, Shaka.
Okay. Yo, no, Marcus Garvey. Kwame Nkrumah, stop, yo, Kwame Nkrumah used to walk up and down 125th Street pushing a cart, selling used books. He used to walk up and he used to hang in Marcus Garvey Park. This man was influenced by the writings of Marcus Garvey. He said himself, when he was going to the University of Pennsylvania, he read the philosophies and opinion of Marcus Garvey. And he said that's what gave him the idea to go back to Africa and we could rule ourselves. But wait a minute. But then you gotta stop. Who influenced Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican? Who? Somebody, anybody. Who influenced Marcus Garvey? Who was the one that made Marcus Garvey say, yo, the black man gotta come up and do his thing? Who was it? It's one man. No. This is what freaks me out. This is the part that I don't get, how my people don't know these things. No, you gotta know that this is inexcusable. It's one man, Booker motherfucking T. Washington, and that's that. Booker T. Washington wrote a book called Up From Slavery. Marcus Garvey read that book. So I'm trying to show you something. What I'm showing you is that you got a black man in North America named Booker T. Washington, who influenced a black man in Jamaica named Marcus Garvey, who influenced an African in America named Kwame Nkrumah, who went back to Africa because of what these two guys had done before him, and he freed Africa and got the British out of there. So what did that tell you? What that tells you is it's an old African saying. If you take a fish and you throw it in the ocean, no matter how long it's in that ocean, I'm sorry, if you take a piece of wood from a tree, a branch, if you throw a piece of wood from a tree and you throw it in the ocean, no matter how long that branch is in the ocean, it will never become a fish. Okay? It will never become a fish. So if you take an African and you put him in Jamaica, and if you take an African and you put an African in America, no matter what, they're always going to be Africans. It don't matter how long they're in America, it don't matter how long they're in Jamaica, it's the same thing with that branch. If you take that branch and you throw it in the ocean, it will never be a fish, no matter how long it's in that ocean. That's an old African proverb. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you take an African out of Africa and you put him in Jamaica, you put him in Puerto Rico, you put him in Cuba, it don't matter. It's still African. What's the proof? The proof is that it was a black man in America who influenced a black man in Jamaica, who influenced a black man, African in America, to go back to Africa and free it. That's what started the whole independence revolution. Because after Ghana was who? It was the Congo with Patrice Lumumba. After them, it was this one, then it was this one, then it was that one. So it was a domino effect, all because of one man, Booker T. Washington, who was a half-breed, up from slavery. Up from slavery. Now hold on. Now here's what's important. I told you that to tell you this, and this goes back to creating biracial children. They recognize one thing. As long as you are what I use the term pure blood. As long as you are pure blood, Like in my family, all my sisters are like yellow. They're like my brother's complexion and this complexion. Everybody, I'm the only one dark. So they used to tease me when I was little and tell me I was adopted. I used to cry. But growing up, I was the one they were always proud of. They would shove me out front to say, look, we African. And they would shove me out front because I was the dark one, right? So I was like, all right, cool. But so I used to turn pure blood. I always look at my brothers and sisters and say, I'm so glad I ain't like them. I'm a pure blood. I'll tell you in a minute. I'm pure blood. But here's the thing. Check it out. Here's the thing. What happens, and this goes back to that play, The Melting Pot, and this is the politics behind it. I'm gonna give it to you right now. What happens when you take, I'm so glad I don't have a recording session today because I would not be able to get one note out. What happens when you take a black person who has inalienable rights to the land where he's from, and he makes a baby with a white woman from Russia or from Germany, right? That child, who 9 times out of 10 is not gonna grow up in Africa, it's gonna grow up in Germany and France or Switzerland or someplace like that. That child no longer has any relationship to the land. The child no longer has any relationship to the land. There's no identification with it. Just by creating that biracial child, you have freed up the land for take.
For real.
Think about it. You freed up the land. You freed it up. I don't see myself as an African. My mother's German. I'm just saying, hypothetically. If my mother's German and my father's African and I'm going to school in Germany, why would I come to Africa and do A, B, C, D, E, F, G? It doesn't mean that there haven't been instances where you have biracial people who strongly identify with the black side. I'll give you a perfect example. Rawlings. Remember Rawlings in Ghana, who was the president of Ghana? Most people thought he was just a light-skinned black. No, he was part German. But he didn't know anything about the German side. He grew up as a Ghanaian. He pulled the coup as the head of the government and he took over Ghana and made Ghana what it is.
But understand, that's a very small percentage of folks.
It's a very small percentage. So now what you have today is, you got what I call you got the half-breeds who pass as black. I'll give you a perfect example. I call it conveniently black. Perfect example, Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey's not black. Mariah Carey mommy don't look like my mama. But she sings black music and markets and promotes herself as black. Because conveniently, getting money. And then for the white masses at large, the package that she's being presented is, it's appealing. It's appealing. You understand what I'm saying? And hold on, there's another one. I can't recall who the other one is, but there's a whole bunch of them out there. Because I had to illustrate this for somebody the other day. And it was in fact,
Halle Berry.
Thank you, Halle Berry. Not black, but markets and promotes herself as black conveniently. In other words, you're black when it's convenient to be black. But when it's convenient to be other than black, yeah. So this whole racial thing, I'm gonna bring it back to what you was talking about earlier, which was what made us fall in Egypt. And I don't think personally, there's any reason that I should have to stand on the street corner in Harlem and